Question of the day.
What mode of transportation do you prefer in your games?
Because today we're taking a look at Galactic Cruise from Kinson Key Games. I don't know, I'm a bit of a train guy myself. Shocker.
I am shocked. I like horses and I like spacecraft.
I don't think there's a single good, horse raising game. There's horse racing games, not horse raising games.
Well, don't you ride horses in Great Western Trail and Western Legends?
It's true.
And maybe even things like Arthurian Legends.
Allegedly, you have a mount, but it's more of a theater of the mind. Anyway, I'm Bryan.
I'm Karla.
We're taking a look at Galactic Cruise from Kinson Key Games. We'll come back up and talk final thoughts after we show you this brief overview of how to play. It's actually a pretty detailed overview. You can learn how to play the game from this.
All right, this is a big game. There's a lot going on, so we're going to talk major concepts first. There are all kind of major concepts, but major concepts first. It is a worker placement game, and there are 12 actions pre-printed onto the back of the board for the beginner game. Now, don't hear beginner and think, oh, easy mode, but just know that it's already pre-printed with everything, including the technologies and the actions and the worker power, the expert worker power. That can all be upgraded and changed, as well as the goals here, the player goals. Now, on the board, you've got action spaces here, right? And as you take your action with one of your workers, you can go here and take the 2 actions. But also, because on your turn you take 2 actions, a normal turn. Also, if you're connected by network to another location, you could use this location's action. So you could do one of these and one of these, or 2 of these by placing here. And if you're not connected there, you could just pay to use it. So we could actually use these actions too by paying green and the bank currently $2 because we're in this section. As you raise on this track, the reputation track, you'll get cheaper for doing that. The different actions are things like buy blueprints. There's none out right now, but buy blueprints for a ship. These are going to be like this. They're going to show you which type of guest it would be benefit. It's going to show you the cost and how many points it's worth afterwards. Once you build it into your ship by taking the other action here, you'll flip it over and put it into one of your ships, and we'll show you that in a moment. You've got the blueprints. You've got a new rocket. When you get new blueprints and a new rocket, it's free. You don't pay for it then. You never pay for it with the rocket, which is actually kind of great. You pay for it when you build the ship sections. You can mark it for a ship. Now let's talk about this board over here. Essentially, this board is going to market. I'm going to see if I can just move it into the frame. All right, the marketing board. The way this works is you're going to have guests over here that are going to be on these cruises. You can market one cruise at a time. So let's say we want to market this cruise. Now, this is a longer cruise. We'll talk about how that even works in a minute. Let's say Blue wants to market here. So when I market on the player board, remind me, I will show you. How are you going to remind me? But I will show you to flip over one of these tokens right here so that you get the bonus. And that's all that is for marketing. But this one is attracting guests. Now you can attract guests by paying ads based on the section. So guest in this section would be 1 ad, 2 ads, 3 ads, and a guest of your choice is 4 ads. You're going to want to try to match symbols of the cruise for 2 reasons. One, now you get a bonus. So every guest here, and depending on how many destinations there are, so 3 destinations, 1 guest, that's $3. Had I done this, that's $6 because it's 3 destinations per guest. The second thing is a reputation per matching symbol color. So we've got an orange and we've got a blue here, so we'll go up the reputation track too. And that's essentially what this whole board does. The only other thing up there is for days in space. There's a bonus up top, which we'll talk about later. This would be the building, getting resources. That one is hiring an expert worker. It becomes cheaper as you do things. Let me move the player board right here in the way we can see. So currently, it would cost you however many of these are left over right here for this expert worker. So it'd be $12 to start with. She's removed all of them, so that one would be free essentially. This one down here, it costs you as much as you have these gray tokens left here. So this would be 3 times that, 6. Remember earlier when I said you turn over one of the tokens, you'll turn over one of these benefit tokens, which give you a permanent benefit later in the game, these 4 up here. But these give you a one-time benefit, but you're just trying to get them off the board to make this cheaper. These already give you a funding bonus, such as when you put a worker back, you will take a point or an ad or money. But when you flip them over and then eventually get them off of here, that ad goes and gets better. They will come off of the here onto your ships when you launch your ship. One other thing to talk about, you have these cogs that go into your board here. It's going to limit how much of each resource you can have. However, if in a pinch you need a resource and you have things like you have an agenda card, we'll talk about in a minute, you can spend that agenda card in that moment to get that resource without having to have room to keep it. So when you spend something immediately, you do not have to have room for it. Essentially, the only other thing on your player board are these discount areas and how you score at the locations, destinations. So when you drop off, just know this for later. When you go to space, you're going to check and see how many ads you have to pay to score. Plus, if you put a bonus here. So currently, our orange guest and everybody else here is 4 points per ads we spend. Orange and orange is 1 ad. Any other color is 2 ads, and then vice versa with their colors. We'll talk about what that means in a minute. Okay. So the other ones are gaining resources, gaining agenda cards. This is a cool one. This is the silo here. If you play this one, you discard an agenda card for nothing. You don't get to do any of its effects. And you fully raise one of the resources. Now, you'll get all the money you pass when you do that, and you'll gain a reputation. Then the other action here is gain 3 of the resources in the silo. These do not cost anything. Those cost you a little something up there. This is gain agenda cards. Now, you'll notice there are 4 agenda cards here, and they have little bonuses next to them. When you take an agenda card, you just get the agenda card. When you refill the agenda card section, you get all the bonuses of the ones you just refilled, which is pretty cool. Now, agenda cards are kind of rule-breaking powers. When you gain a funding bonus, gain an additional 1, 2, 3 funding bonuses. So there's all sorts of things. Now, on your turn, you can do one of 3 actions. First of all, you'll advance your ship, your cruise, which would be moving on to a destination or a day in space. Then you're going to choose one of 3 actions. 1 is to place a worker, take the 2 actions. 2 is to launch a ship, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And 3 is to call a meeting. Call a meeting is how you get your workers back. Now, you can bump in this game. So case in point, if I bump, this worker comes back, and anytime you put a worker back on your board, you get a funding bonus, which is one of those 4 bonuses we talked about with the hand symbol. Also, when you call a meeting and call your workers back, you get a funding bonus for each. Plus, when you do a meeting, you gain 1 action, which is pretty sweet. So there's no wasted turns in this game, which I love. Normally, a normal action turn is 2 actions. Calling a meeting is 1 action. Just remember that. And it's where you're connected to a network. So since you don't have a worker out there, you do one that you're connected to a network. The other thing that you use these cogs for is up at the top are technologies. They're bonuses permanently that help you during the game. Discounts on fuel, discounts on food, etc. Now let's talk about launching a ship first, okay? So I'm going to drop the camera right here. Okay, so we now have a ship right here that is definitely very relaxing. So we've put these into the studio, into the ship here. And you'll notice as the art lines up, we now have cabin space. So we have attracted, let's say we've already attracted some guests. We're getting ready to launch this cruise, okay? So now we're going to follow the elevator here of all the steps to it. So first of all, let's go here. So now we're going to put our cruise there in front of it. Let's just say we're doing this one for now. We're going to put the cruise there, right here. We're going to move the marketer back, and that will mean that a new cruise goes over there and new guests get put there. We're going to move any guests that we had over there. So let's say we already had 2 purple guests set up. So we'll put the 2 purple guests here. This is the limit. It's 3 by 3. So you can have 3 ships at 3 height unless you upgrade stuff or have certain cards. Now, this is where we are now. So then we're going to move an agenda, a tracker cube here. Tracker cubes are for timing and they're for bonus points at the end of the game. So we're going to move a cube up there out of your own personal supply, not the goals. Then you're going to pay a food per wooden token in here plus your captain. So don't forget your captain, which is one of your own workers. So food for that, a fuel that it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a discount fuel up there. And then an oxygen per section, 1, 2, 3. Doesn't count the nose cone and the tail. You then spin that, and then you move up to the next section. Now, normally, when you get, in case in point, when you get a rocket, its top section here, the shuttle, the cockpit, is flipped face down for -5 points. And it tells you how it scores, but the first time you launch it, you then flip it over, so it's no longer -5 points, and you get to score it. So this is 2 points for every 3 spaces you were on the reputation track. This is a point per section across your entire fleet. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. And you will score that every single time you do it and at the end of the game as well. You'll then take the token that you flipped over earlier, put it onto the rocket, and then you'll put your captain there. Now, as you advance this each turn, you'll do the different things. So here we would score for the purple section. Here we would score for the orange section, which means you could drop off this bonus in either the purple or then the orange, day and space, and then the blue if you do it on your last turn. If you don't do it, you lose it. The guests will come back and you'll just continue. You'll continue playing the game. So that is essentially how you play in a nutshell. There are probably a couple more little important things to touch base on, but for the most part, that is how you play. Like the day and space, essentially you'll count the amount of worker or the amount of guests you have who match those symbols. So here we have 2 guests and 3 purple symbols. So on the purple days in space, on the regular days in space, we would get 6 of the purple bonus, which is money. So we get $6 for each day in space we have. So that is essentially how you play Galactic Cruise. Now, one other thing, you have this section here, which is the timer. You will put cubes here from when you launch ships and also when people meet these goals. And again, this is modular as well. So this is currently, if someone has 5 technology, you'll bump this up. Then somebody has to have 6, then they have to have 7. But the first person to do it, you'll pull the cubes off here. And at the end of the game and each scoring section of 3 scorings, it's the amount of cubes you have here times the amount of shields you have showing. Person with the most points wins the game.
All right, that is Galactic Cruise. Now, as you know, we do a rubric system over the last year. That was actually Karla's idea. I stole it for the solo reviews, but she's going to be doing more reviews because she's the money when it comes to talking about games. Anyway, here's the deal.
Help yourself.
We are going to talk about different categories. We've got art direction, gameplay mechanics, rulebook, and overall. So let's talk about art first. What do you think about the art of this game?
It is so colorful and bright, and everything is just laid out beautifully. You can always see what part of the board you're doing actions on or on your player board. There's just such beautiful things going on. Even the way the little spaceships and space guys are drawn is pretty.
Yeah, I love this art. It's Tool art. He's one of my favorite board game artists. He has a real ability to draw mundane things like office buildings really well. So I love the way the actual board itself looks. Not to mention the art on the little, there's the 3 different locations. The art on that's fantastic. The components in this game are fantastic too. Nice chunky wood pieces, but gotta throw some flowers for them. The insert. That insert is fantastic.
I love a good insert, and whenever I open the box and the insert is already sitting there, it's amazing.
And this game looks like it'd be a monster to set up. It is not. Including the standard mode where everything switches around, which we're going to talk about that in a minute.
In fact, it looked like such a monster to set up that I put the lid back on the box and did not set it up for a very long time.
I set this one up for once. This is a really pretty game. Now, art direction. Let's talk about the actual symbology and things like that. I think everything makes sense. There are no symbols where you go, I wonder what that does. What do you think?
Okay, all of that is true, but the fuel icon definitely would be blood in any other game. Like if you're playing with zombies, a red token with a drop on it, that's definitely an injury token, a wound token, or blood. But in this game, it's fuel.
That's true. But we don't know what the fuel is made out of. We're not running Galactic Cruises right now. This could be like Soylent Green fuel.
Maybe it is zombies.
I'd like to think so. But yeah, that's a good point. But everything, it tells you really well,
But that's really minor.
It is minor. But what's also great about this game is it comes with and this is not so much art direction, but more like rule book. It comes with a rules reference book for everyone. Everyone gets a quick employee handbook, and while it is 4 pages, it's very helpful.
And look at this handy dandy supervisor tag.
That's right, she's a supervisor.
Galactic Cruise supervisor.
You can use that as a first player marker. We don't. We forget who's first player because it really only matters at the end of the game.
We don't forget. It just goes in rounds.
But it doesn't really matter to the end of the game. Mechanics, gameplay. How does the game play? Well, first of all, I love that it's worker placement. And I love that it's complex, crunchy worker placement. I do not agree with the Board Game Geek weight of this game. Yeah, to master, maybe. But I'm sorry, it's just not a 4 difficulty or weight to me. It makes sense. It's worker placement, and then you're building ships, and with those ships, you're getting employees over there. It does feel a little Vita Lacerda-ish, but with
I don't think it's as heavy as people say it is. It looks like a monster, and it does take a second to learn it. Okay, by a second, I mean like a half-hour teach. But other than that, once you start playing, it's very straightforward.
Everything makes sense. Like, you know what you're doing. Like, you know, okay, I need resources. I know how to get resources. I need money. I know how to get money. I need to launch. I know how to launch. Like, everything's pretty intuitive. And it was the first time we played, it was all of our first time playing. It wasn't like, oh, I had played and taught them. No, I learned, played, and we taught. And it was great.
And what I like is that you can have your worker bumped by someone else's worker. That's one of my favorite mechanics in a worker placement game. But also, whenever you use your, I guess, big guy.
The expert worker.
Your expert worker, grande worker.
Yeah, grande worker.
Expert worker. You get to take a bonus too, right?
Yeah, depending on which one it is, and that's the beautiful thing about the variable setup of this game. The standard game, it's fine, it's great on its own, but there are different player power or different expert worker powers that you can put in. Like the one we played, the very first one, most recently if you bump somebody, you also get to do the what is it? Something bonus, an income bonus, funding bonus action, which is pretty cool because normally when you get bumped, you put your worker back on your board, and anytime your worker comes back on your board, you get a funding bonus. To me, that's great.
And that's great too. Whenever you pull back, like usually you just rest, but in this game, you get to take an action when you pull your guys back.
Yes, you normally get 2 actions on your turn. In this, you get funding bonuses based on how many you pull back and an action. Love that. And I also really like the mechanic of where you get to take the actions. So it encourages you to put those technology advances out. Gears between the connections of the buildings, but also the technologies up top. And I think that's a really cool thing too. It's just extra choices. I never felt, anytime I played this, that it's a bad choice on your turn. There are some games where it's like, oh, I don't really like my choices. It's not this one.
Some of us made better choices than others.
Yes, some of them did, and both of them did. In fact, made better choices than me.
We just played it Sunday too.
Yeah, it's a super good game. So all in all, a rule book. It's a fantastic rule book. It's actually one of the best rule books ever. I did watch a video on how to play, but I probably should have just read the rule book. It's very thick though, so you think, oh, it's daunting. It's not that bad. You can learn the game. But you did mention that
everybody gets their own little player aid.
True.
And it's not just a little card. It's a full little booklet, and it's so handy and helpful, and it explains everything you need to know.
Some people might say it's a handy handbook.
That might be why they called it that.
That's right. But it's fantastic. So all in all, final score for me, I can go ahead and tell you. Normally we'll run this through the rubric, but I already knew what this number was going to be for me just because. And it's a 9 out of 10. I love this game. I think it's a fantastic game that will be in my collection for years and years to come. It's not as heavy to play as you play. It's easier to set up and put up than it looks like. And to me, it's just a fantastic game.
Only one thing that I would have a criticism of the actions that needing more direction to go into the rulebook to look at would be the action where you send your cruisers onto the ship. We had to look at the rulebook several times whenever we were first learning that rule.
That's a symbology issue. Yeah, that one is a little tricky. When you actually, when you market the worker, like the guests, it's like my brain forgets every single time what you have to do with that. So, all in all, what's your final score for this game?
I'd say it's 8.5.
8.5. Love it. 9, 8.5. That's 17.5 divided by 2, which is, I don't know, 8.75.
Round it up to a 9.
That's right. So that is...
You might not win the game, but you won the ranking.
I will never win this game. I can tell you that right now. So that is Galactic Cruise from Kinson Key Games. I'm Bryan Drake.
And I'm Karla.
We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.